So what runs in the inguinal canal? What do we have in the inguinal canal? And I mentioned this at the beginning. We have different structures for the male and for the female. In the female, it's relatively straightforward. We just have what's known as the round ligament of the uterus. This is just an embryological remnant, really. As the ovaries descended, there was the migration of this ligamentous structure from the uterus towards the inguinal canal, and it follows the same path as the spermatic cord. So it passes through the deep, it runs along the canal, exits via the superficial inguinal ring. It's a very small structure, and it then merges with the fat of the labia majora. If the deep inguinal ring in the female does persist, if it doesn't close up, if you have what's known as a patent processus vaginalis, then you have fat which can creep into this space, and you have what's known as a canal of Nook. But we don't need to dwell on the female as much, because the small size of the round ligament of the uterus means the canal is quite small, and it's not that likely that females suffer from inguinal herniation. But as we can see on the opposite side of the screen, within the male there's a very substantial structure, and this is known as the spermatic cord. The spermatic cord is a really important structure that contains a whole series of blood vessels, of nerves, lymphatic vessels, which we can see. And this creates an increased size. It increases the size of the inguinal canal, which means the superficial inguinal ring is that much larger, which means it's more prone to herniation. We can see we have the ductus deferens. That is the tube that allows the sperm that have been produced in the testes to pass back into the pelvis so they can be ejaculated through the urethra. And we'll look at that in more detail when we look at the pelvis. We have an artery that specifically goes to the ductus deferens. We have an artery that goes to the testicles themselves. We have another artery that supplies the muscle, the cremaster muscle that surrounds the spermatic cord, or at least part of the spermatic cord. We have venous drainage, we have autonomic nerves, we have what's called the genital branch of the genitofemoral nerve, and this helps to supply cutaneous innervation from the skin of the testes and the scrotum. And we also, like all organs, have lymphatic drainage, and we have lymphatic vessels. So here we can see the contents of the inguinal canal in the male and the female, specifically the spermatic cord in the male.